What is up, my classies? It's your gentleman Oscar, and today we're talking about the widely acclaimed poet Atticus. And no, not your Greek carved in stone Atticus, but the newest urban Instagram originated poet. His popularity, though small compared to many other poets, shot with the publishing of his new book, Love Her Wild, and the anticipated coming of his next book, Darkness Between the Stars. Atticus has a fan base of roughly 500,000, including well-known celebs like Emma Stone. However, what makes him so interesting is his anonymous nature and ability to keep it despite his fame. No one knows his real name, not much of his childhood is known, and never has his face been seen. In an interview with the Globe and Mail paper, he admits that though he's not necessarily obsessed with remaining anonymous, it is rather a symbol for him, representing that one should write how they feel, not how they think they should feel, based on society. So, safe to say very little is known about this poet. But, after many hours of deep research, I still know little about him. Well, c'est la vie. That won't stop me from sharing what I do know with you. To start, Atticus is Canadian, born in British Columbia. Not specified really, but I guess somewhere around the British Columbia area. Little to nothing has been exposed about his childhood, but he is only currently in his mid-20s and has been through university for writing classes, Oxford, and college as well. He also has talked about various country travels and continental traveling in his interview with CBC News. France, England, ending with US being his current country of occupation, more specifically in LA. During his travels in Paris, he had encountered one of his childhood role models, Michael Madsen, well-known badass American actor in many high-stake gunslinging movies, and a 007 actor once upon a time. Michael Madsen apparently pronounced his deep love for poetry to Atticus, convincing him to switch from his more short novel structure and to try out the poetry side of things. The rest is history, present technically, and the future to come. The poem seen floating before me is not a dagger, though it strikes the heart as so. Atticus is a master of short poems and is capable of getting strong messages across in a mere sentence. This poem by Atticus goes as such. So many die with a brush in their hands, a heart full of colors, and empty pages full of lies. This poem uses literary devices like metaphors, comparisons, allusions to convey the theme of how society makes people who are capable of greater things hide themselves in order to conform with the social norm. It also puts a great focus on the topic of fear and how fearing your own isolation makes you inevitably isolate who you are. Your self-worth and your self-confidence all float away only to replace it with the fake happiness of temporary acceptance. Atticus is truly a master of his craft. Though most of his poems have the theme of love, some of them do have a touch of space or environments that he gives credit to Canada for. I personally did not know of much existence of Atticus until I started searching into what I was intending on the Greek Atticus. But as I got more into searching up this new poet and reading some of his poetry and deeper depths, searching who he is as a person, even though he is mainly anonymous, I started feeling a lot more connections with him than ancient Greeks. And I think a lot of that has to do with the medium he's using. He is one of the first poets to be almost internationally known, yet using Instagram as social media. He's the modernized version and the more urban version of a more William Shakespeare poet. His poems are short, yet they pack a lot of punch, they have a lot of meaning to them, and at the same time, they're very relatable to youth and people of all other ages. He personally says himself in interviews with the Globe Mail that he does get lots of feedback back from people of our age. He says that we tell him how we feel about poetry and that we're not afraid to speak of poetry and that we're not afraid to speak of our emotions and referring to how literature affects us. Ironically or coincidentally, however you'd like to look at it, he himself was not a fan of poetry until he had his encounter with Michael Madsen. He was more shocked culturally, I guess, that someone of such masculinity and known for being a gunslinger would have interest in more romantic, cursive lettering type of literature. Michael Madsen went as far as to say that it saved his family and his marriage, that he was able to get over his depression by putting all those emotions into literature and able to write poetry, in which he has his own book published in that. In regards to Atticus and his poetry specifically, he has a similar writing style to that used by another poet, Rupi Kaur. They both line up their lines in order to specifically highlight themes used in their poems. They also both like to use it about love, but the Rupi Kaur uses more nature as in trees, vines, while it seems that Atticus likes to focus more on astral space and more abstract thought, which I personally like. He also uses his anonymous nature to his advantage. He will put out poetry, but yet doesn't like to give his opinion on it too much, as he says in multiple interviews. He likes people to take in the poetry as is, raw, and come out with their own meanings. When asked once who is this her that he always speak of, he says there might be a couple who influence, but I like people to put in their own thoughts. I find it great when people like to use it open-minded. Poetry is meant to be determined how you want to determine it. A simple sentence that says she ran away to one person could mean someone that has been abandoned, to another means someone that's been heartbroken. Atticus himself, what is so interesting about him is he was an average guy. I mean, yes, he went to a university, went to college, went through classes, and a bit of traveling. But he's still an average 20-year-old guy. He didn't have any specific specialties, he's not exactly blowing rich, and nor did he intend on taking poetry. It was just simple chance. He tried it out and he was really good at it. And his 500,000 fan base can definitely speak to that. Some even getting tattoos of his quotes on their whole body. Also, to go along with the theme of Atticus being just your average Joe, it really did put a lot of hope into the hearts of his followers. I mean, most of his followers are just your average teens like us, going to high school, have joy in some things, disdain in a lot of others. But a lot of people read this, and it's not like it's coming from a huge celebrity. It's not like it's from William Shakespeare, who everyone knows. It's not like it's coming from someone like Emma Stone, or it's not like a new song from Kanye. It's just an average guy who is good at what he does, and everybody likes him for it. And lots of his followers have tried themselves. Everybody starts posting their own poetry or posting things they're good at, art, sometimes novels, sometimes they're good at, building something, sometimes they're good at other things, anything. But that's what's really great about Atticus is he's more personal. He's social media directed. He's our age. And it's just a great poet to get connected with, something you can't really have with fossilized people like the other Atticus, or boring fossilized people like Shakespeare, or other people that are not as important. Alright, classies, that's all for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed Atticus just as much as I did. I'll try to find his Instagram link and put it right down below in the description. But honestly, guys, go out there and search. I mean, poetry might sound a little bit different to some people. I mean, Shakespeare kind of ruined it for us in grade school and elementary and high school. But there's always that one poetry that one poem that really just hits the heart. You read it and you start picturing it, you see scenarios, you connect. It's just magical. It's like a movie in a line. It really is. Anywho, thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.